Right. Hi, everyone. Welcome again to AuthorStory. I'm Alexander Lim, your host. And for this episode, I'm interviewing Anna Gatmon, author of the book Living a Spiritual Life in the Material World: Four Keys to Fulfillment and Balance. And for those of you following along who are interested, you can go over now to the Amazon link in the description below the video and check out or get a copy of her book. So, Anna, welcome to AuthorStory. Thanks for being our guest.
Thank you, Alex, for inviting me. I'm excited to be here.
Great. So, Anna, for starters, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself? What's your author story?
Yes, of course. So in my 20s, I lived in Paris, France, and I worked as a fashion model and had a very gratifying material life as an international fashion model. But something was missing. I was searching for more meaning and purpose in my life. And so life took me to the US. I went back to school and got a doctoral degree in education and spirituality, got married, had children, and had all the intellectual, emotional, and spiritual fulfillment I wanted, but still something was missing. And what was missing is the balance, because I was still enjoying good food and beautiful things and nature and the creation of people. I mean, human beings create amazing things on the planet. And so I had to find a middle ground between my spiritual fulfillment and material gratification, because there is a misconception that truly spiritual people live very humble lives, don't have any material desires, don't need any material gratifications. And I think that in order to be truly spiritual, we actually need to appreciate each other's material creation. So that's kind of how I came up with the four keys to spiritual material balance, because I feel that we all need to find balance between our spiritual fulfillment and material gratification and appreciation of the material world.
Okay, cool. We'll cover that a little later. But first off, let me ask you about the book. Can you tell us you told us a little bit about what it's about, but who is it for?
So the book is for anyone who's looking for more purpose and meaning, and who they could be on the beginning of their spiritual journey or already on a conscious spiritual journey, but are looking for a roadmap, a simple way to become more intuitive and to live in greater alignment between their spiritual essence and their material expression.
Okay. So, what made you decide to write this book? Was there like an aha moment, or you realized, I should write this book? Or was it more like a growing realization, a progression as time went on?
Yeah. Well, two things did. I was at a talk with His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and one of the women in the audience asked him a question. And the question was, we go to all these workshops, we read all these books, we find out about all these spiritual teachings. How do we integrate them into our daily life? And that was a question that I was asking myself too. And life took me to this place where I did my doctoral research exactly on that, where I developed these four keys. And then I thought, okay, my duty is, now that I have a roadmap and an insight of how everyone can have a spiritual experience on demand, then my duty is to write the book and to come on your show as well, in order to share my message with the world.
Okay. So it was sort of like a realization then. Yeah, this should be out there.
Exactly, yes.
All right, cool. So you mentioned an issue, that involving oneself in the spiritual realm requires one to give up all of one's material possessions, live humbly, that sort of thing, materially speaking.
Yes.
And you kind of hinted that this is not really the case. So, in what ways can we interrelate materiality and spirituality?
So let me, if I may give an example.
Go ahead.
Of something that's considered very kind of material indulgence. If you think of a chef,
okay,
whose life calling is to delight your palate and awaken your spirit and nourish your body, and you go and you have a meal at the restaurant of this chef, And this chef awakens your spirit with flavors and combinations and presentation that you've never experienced before. So your spirit is awakening. In addition, you are consuming the spirit of the chef, the hard work, the years of dedication, the creativity, the imagination. It's not just material indulgence. It is a real balance between spiritual aspiration of the chef and its material expression that you are consuming now. So that's how the two kind of come together.
Okay, okay. So you also mentioned coming into a balance between material and spirit. Is this also the case with the example that you gave?
Yes, yes, because if living our calling and purpose is how we humans
Mm-hmm.
can live in spiritual material balance. And so if the calling of a chef, as one example, is to serve us and awaken our spirit through feeding us and preparing food for us, if we don't consume the food and don't go to his or her restaurant, we're not allowing the chef to fulfill their calling and purpose. And so, by definition, we have to appreciate our material world,
Mm-hmm.
and we cannot have this dichotomy that you mentioned of that if you're truly spiritual, then the material things in the world don't really matter.
Right. So,
They do because they are an expression of someone, right?
right, true, true, true. So, a lot of people they really focus on the material rather than the spiritual, or they really focus on the spiritual rather than the material. Is there something in us as human beings, do you think, that makes us focus on one rather than the other, like one is better than the other, or something like that?
Well, I think that we live on a planet that's very dualistic, black and white, light and darkness.
Right,
Um, Everything is either or.
right.
And I think that our journey really is to transcend that and to see that it is both. So we shouldn't. I people are not going to feel fulfilled if
Mm,
all they do is focus on the material
right,
and acquire material goods. That's not going to make anyone feel satisfied beyond the first second of acquiring something.
right.
But if you begin to, but likewise, if you're just spiritual, then you're not really expressing yourself. You're not enjoying the planet, other people, their creations. So you really need to have both in
Mm,
order to be in balance.
okay.
And that's the work. Yeah.
All right, interesting, interesting. Because it's interesting that you say such a thing. Because that's the first time, and I'm sure for a lot of our listeners, it's also the first time that they've heard something like that. That focusing on the spiritual does not really give balance. That's an interesting concept, it's an interesting topic.
Yeah. Yeah. I was apprehensive even coming out with this message, kind of like, who am I to share this? There's such great spiritual teachers out there.
Hmm.
But I really feel that for most of us, we live daily lives and they are primarily material.
Hmm.
So what we need to do is infuse them with spiritual values and with qualities and with an attitude of of our spirit. The noise here, there's a thunderstorm here. So if you're hearing it in the background something, it's lightning and so
Okay, got that.
so anyway, yeah. So it is a different message,
Hmm.
but I think that in true spiritual teaching, all great spiritual teachers do talk about needing to be spiritual in our daily life, and it's all a question of what does that mean?
Okay, I got that. So this kind of leads into my next question. If you're a very spiritual person, does it mean that you'll be a very, how do I put this, a very materially rich person? Do those things follow?
And I don't think so.
Okay,
I
not
think
necessarily.
yeah,
Okay.
yes. So you're um, eh, um I mean, just to clarify, you're saying if you're very spiritual, you'll be very rich. Is
Something like
that
that.
what you're talking?
Or materially
Yeah,
abundant. That I guess would be more accurate.
yeah.
Materially abundant.
Yeah, so I think that there's a reframe of what abundance is, and there's a story in my book where we moved to America 5 years ago, and I didn't have a work permit, and so we were living on one salary, and we were in a place where we only had $6 in our bank account, and we're waiting for the paycheck in 2 weeks,
Hmm.
and it was an interesting experience to realize that we had $6 in our bank account and no savings until the next paycheck. And it was really distressing.
Hmm.
And I was looking that morning out the window, and there was a fountain where birds used to come and uh, bathe in the water. And usually we'd have one or two birds coming at a time. And this morning, as I was looking out with distress about our financial situation,
Hmm.
I was looking out and there were like 15, 20 birds who were coming and going in all sizes, colors. I mean, it was just magnificent. And my mind was focused on that. And I felt such joy and such appreciation for the beauty in front of me that I had this thought, count your blessings. And so I began to count my blessings. And I said, I have a spouse who loves me and I love. I've got two children who are healthy and who are in school. I have a roof over my top. I have family all over the world who loves me and who I love. And I just went on and on,
Hmm.
um, counting my blessing. And within seconds, I have all these blessings and I have $6 in my account.
Hmm. Right.
So within seconds, the same situation, I had a different experience. And so I'm not saying that people should be in a dire situation like we were at that time,
Right.
but it's a shift in perspective of what prosperity means and what abundance is. And the minute you start to see the abundance in your life and the prosperity in your life, you do begin to draw more positive experiences and a better financial situation for yourself.
Hmm.
Uh, so there is a relationship, but there's no like direct, you're very spiritual, you'll be very rich. I
Okay.
mean, it like all depends what your life purpose is. Like, is it to have a lot of money and influence, or is it to do something else?
Mm. Okay. Okay. So just getting that clear then, that abundance does not necessarily mean being rich or something like that. Okay. Got
I,
that.
yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Cool. So Anna, just to ask, are there people who've tried out the techniques in your book? I mean, have you gotten feedback from people like those stuff like that?
Yes, yeah. I mean, yeah,
So I'd like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Please, no, no, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, those people who try your techniques, what kind of people are they? Are they like office workers, business people? Are they everyday folks? Or are they guys like, you know, yoga, I don't know, yoga people, people into the spiritual thing?
Right, right. Well, what I love about the four keys that I've developed is that they transcend any faith in religion and culture and lifestyle. They are really, as Jack Canfield says in an endorsement to my book, they are universal principles. And they really are. And that's why it's so exciting. So you could be of any faith
Hmm.
or religion,
Hmm.
any culture, and you can be in any situation. Yes, you can be identify as someone from the New Age culture, but you can be someone from the corporate world, or you can be someone. It is for regular folks. I mean, that's what I think is the beauty of it, that it really is for anyone to become their own spiritual guide instead of feeling like they're inadequate and they need some guru in order to kind of show them the path. Instead, you become your own spiritual guide.
Mm, nice. Okay. So if it's okay to ask this, what are some of the techniques that you have in the book that would help readers connect with their spiritual nature?
Hmm.
Or at
Um,
least some techniques you can share, because don't want to
right,
give away
right,
the entire book
for
in this interview
sure.
here. Yeah.
Well, would it be okay if I share briefly the four keys?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So the four keys that I developed in my research. So the first one is expansive presence.
Mhm.
And that is that I realize that all mystics and sages and prophets live in an expanded perception of reality.
Mm-hmm.
And so the question is, how can we do that too? And what I discovered, that we do it all the time anyway, we're just not aware of it. And the way to do it is through breathing, for example, counting our blessings, engaging in authentic expression, something that we love, hobby, connecting with other people. So there are many daily activities that can connect us to this expansive presence. And that's the first key. And then what I discovered was that once we are in this expansive presence, the second key is attentive listening, because we become aware of information that was not available for us a second ago when we were in a more constricted state of consciousness. And so the reason that spiritual teachers or sages give us all these wonderful words of wisdom is because they reside in this expansive state of being, and they become aware of all this wisdom that we are not aware of. But we can do the same now, using the first key of expansive presence and the second key of attentive listening. I'm not anything special. I've just discovered that I can do it, and you can do it too, and your listeners can do it too. And so then the third key is inspired action, because once you've listened and you get this intuitive guidance, okay, you might get like a gut feeling or an inner prompting, or you might come across something in the outside world that's just the message that you needed to hear. Our duty is to act upon it so that we can express what the guidance was, and that is inspired action. And then the fourth key is faith-filled knowing, because if you start this dialogue with the universe or God or however you want to call this unfathomable force, you realize that the universe is in co-creation with us and is waiting for us to be the hands and the feet of these spiritual principles, and it's for us to express them. So really, if you do read the book, then you'll get a better understanding of how the four keys work. But I think the most important point is that anyone can really practice them and become their own spiritual teacher.
Okay, anyone then, like anyone can pick up your book and then they practice it, and they don't have to go to a guru, a master, a teacher. They can do this themselves.
Yes, you should go to teachers who are wise and who spend their days thinking about human existence and how to raise our consciousness as a species, make our world a better place. But you should also know that you can do the same thing, and that you can have your own wisdom, and that you have access to the same wisdom if you just expand your consciousness. And there are many small things that you can do, which are in the book, of course, but the four keys are the basis of how you can practice in order to become your own teacher. And really anyone who is interested and is willing to practice can do it.
Okay, good. So, all right, cool. So I'm just curious, how long did it take you to come up with these four keys?
Interesting question, Alex. You know, these things come in a flash of lightning.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, and so the minute you enter this expansive state, which again you can do through breathing or putting your hand on your heart and just breathing, and suddenly you feel maybe warmth or expansiveness. And they kind of came, I was practicing identifying spiritual experiences in my life, and they just kind of popped in. And then I decided to do my research. So my research took 3 years.
Okay.
But the actual four keys kind of just came, they just came in as, wow, maybe this is true. Maybe this is a universal principle. And actually, I mean, even scientists, right?
Right.
After the initial insight to study something is from inspiration, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it comes as an inspiration, and then they do a methodical research in order to prove it. But the original it comes in a flash of light, and they have the idea. And so this is how it came to me as well.
Wow. And of course, the rest they say is history. Okay, so Anna, I'm sure you're aware that there are a lot of books on self-help, spirituality, and stuff like that. Not to say that other books are, for lack of a better word, inadequate or something like that, but what is it about living a spiritual life in the material world that would make people want to buy this book over other books of the same genre?
Yeah. So first of all, I do want to say that each person who has written a book and each teaching sheds light on a specific aspect of our spiritual existence. And so each book does have a value.
Mhm.
But I do think what you mentioned before, that it's an unusual approach,
Mhm.
is that I think that I'm hoping that this book will appeal to more people because it's inviting you to not have to give up your material daily living because you need to pay your bills and you need to save for retirement.
Mhm.
And you don't need to give up your material daily existence in order to become truly spiritual.
Mhm.
And you already have it all inside you.
Mm.
So I'm just hoping that it can reach more people who feel like they don't have to give up their life. Instead, they just need to integrate some practices into their daily life
Mm.
and stay in the life that they want to live and they're already living.
Mm. Okay, and I mean that's definitely a different cut to the old view of spirituality right there.
Hmm,
Okay, so
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, so Anna, let me throw something at you. Let's say you met up with someone who is involved in the material aspect of things, or is involved wholly in the spiritual aspect of things. They know there's something missing in their life, and you had only enough time to tell that person one thing about the balance between materialism and spirituality. What would be that one thing you would tell that person, and why?
Wow, I love your question. Um, I would tell them, live your calling, because when you will live your calling, you will be in balance and unity between your spiritual aspirations and material expression. So live your highest calling.
Okay, well, profound words right there. So, Anna, is there any website where our listeners can get a hold of you and your book, or any extras that you might want to give them?
Yes, so I'd love to give your listeners a free workbook, 7 practices to more prosperity, peace, and purpose in your work and life. And you can download it for free on my website, which is annagatmon.com.
Okay, so it's just like ANNAGATMON. Is this correct?
Yes,
AnnaGatmon.com.
yes, yeah. And there are also links there for the book, which you can, of course, get on Amazon's or Barnes and Noble. But you can also just ask your local bookstore, and they will either have it or they will get it for you.
Okay, listeners, there you go. Words from the author herself. So, in closing, then, the book is Living a Spiritual Life in the Material World: Four Keys to Fulfillment and Balance. The author is our guest, Anna Gatmon. And you can get her book at the website she mentioned, Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, also on her website, annagatmon.com. So, Anna, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for being an author story. It was very insightful having you with us here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciated it.
You're welcome. So, if any of you listeners want to know more about this topic, please feel free to go ahead and check out Living a Spiritual Life in the Material World, which you can do so right now by going to the Amazon link in the description below the video. And if you'd like to follow our author interviews on YouTube, I invite you to subscribe to our channel. So, bye for now, everyone. I'll be back on Author Story next time with another inspiring author.